Look who's back at it again. Tell me, do you like adventure? Do you welcome surprises and twists? Do you miss the GameCube era of Nintendo? Well, I've got a game for you. Paper Mario the 20-year-old 1000-year door. And just so you know, I'm not going to worry about spoilers cause it's a retro game that they remade. But if this is your first experience playing the game, then lucky you. Wish I could say the same, cause this is an unforgettable adventure. Man, playing through this game, I was so excited to see my favorite lines again. This game has aged so well. The jokes still land and the humor catches you off guard sometimes. And a lot of the lines have you asking yourself, they really said that in a Mario game? But that's what makes this game stand out as everyone's favorite Paper Mario game. It took risk and embraced the goofiness of the Mario world. It was so good that I felt betrayed by the later entries when they abandoned the classic formula and started removing original characters. I didn't play Super Paper Mario because I knew it was a completely different genre, so I checked out of that one. But I still regret buying Paper Mario for the 3DS. Sticker Star or whatever, never have I felt so betrayed. In that game, there was no reason to fight, and when you did, you wasted your stickers and lost attack moves for boss fights. It was stupid, and I never played it again after the first chapter. But they kept making more of those Paper Marios. Like how? Who was buying these games? But you know what? The experiments are over. The internet has spoken, and where that has led us back to the GOAT. Paper Mario the 20-year-old game with a 1000-year door. I like how Nintendo refuses to make a virtual console for the GameCube and has found a way to sell each game back to us in glorious HD form. Like Wind Waker, Twilight Princess, Luigi's Mansion, Metroid Prime, and now Paper Mario. Does Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles count? Maybe. But yeah, I'm glad you guys who missed out on this classic now have a way to play it. And let me tell you, this Paper Mario is more of a unique adventure game than a Mario game. Let me explain. This story is different in its approach. If you took out the classic Mario characters and replaced the main character with an OC, you would still have the makings of a great adventure. It's a legit story with a Mario aesthetic to it. Like, they introduced new villains with their own agendas, and each sidekick has a backstory this time in the areas that you find them in. They even had to force Bowser into the story, and he has to come to terms with the fact he is a subplot and always 2 steps behind everyone else. And he crushes it like a champ, just like the champ he crushed. And I like how all the chapters find new ways to mix things up. The first chapter fakes you out and makes you think you're going on a typical Mario adventure. Aside from the fact that you had to fight a dragon who eats Koopas. And the audience. And can we talk about the fact that Koops' dad was eaten 10 years ago by Hooktail and survived in her stomach? Just think about how he survived for 10 years in a Koopa eating dragon's stomach. The dude is a cannibal. Look at that sick smile. That's the smile of someone who has to live with his guilt. Don't ever be alone in a room with that guy, Koops. Speaking of disturbing things, what is that? I had to find a way to cope with the new animations of the companions. They always faced the camera before in the first 2 games, and now they can turn. My mind was not ready for that. And the coins are paper mache, and everything is so papery now in this remake. And what have they done to my boy? They sticker starred and color splashed my boy. They couldn't leave well enough alone. They want us to accept the later Paper Marios, but I won't. You want to know why? Because after the first chapter, we really start seeing how different this game is from the typical Paper Mario. The second chapter is okay. It gives you a taste of playing discount Pikmin and ends with a Metroid-style escape sequence. But Chapter 3, let's freaking go. The Glitz Pit is so great. We get to meet the best character, Yoshi, Grub, no, I can't lie to you guys. It's Rockhawk. Easily the best character. He won me over with his catchphrase, and when I turned the rock on the hawk, my life was complete. Not to mention, this chapter is done so well. Not only are you invested in the tournament, but you get misled to believe the main baddie of the chapter is one of 3 characters. And it's so great, I won't spoil this one for you because it's the best chapter by far. Then there's chapter 4, which is the perfect follow-up to 3. And you instantly forget about Rockhawk when you meet the underwhelming dipshit Dupless. His whole gimmick of snatching your identity and then becoming you was brilliant, because I didn't see it coming at all. I remember being so confused when I beat Dupless the first time. I was like, who am I? And on a side note, I love how they removed the P in the text box so you can't speedrun the chapter. The whole chapter was so clever, and Dupless needs to make a return. And then it's out to sea. And then the game decided it forgot to give us a character we love to hate, so it made up for it with Flavio. And with Flavio, I still can't believe he survived the whole chapter. The crew should have betrayed him and offed him well before you found the treasure of Cortez. But you gotta admit, it's fun to hate him, and to this day I still quote, "Flavio hates you all," as if it has any meaning. Not my favorite chapter, but Flavio made it work, and I was excited to hear him say stupid crap again. And the train chapter was pretty good. You got to play detective for little petty things like missing jewelry and blankets. And you kept the train from exploding and the passengers from killing each other over stealing other things, but Meanwhile, this whole time they kept the headquarters of the X-Nauts a secret, and I wasn't expecting it to be on the moon. I also wasn't expecting to get blasted there, literally. I also like how the 1,000-Year Door was rumored to be treasure, but then the truth about it was casually dropped during a Peach segment. Like, that was a bunch of spoilers, and I wasn't even mad. If anything, I should have seen it coming since the game refuses to be predictable. But was it the last plot twist? No. And at this point I was so invested in the story I wanted to see what happens next. And that was the bittersweet part of it all. I want to see what happens next, but I didn't want the game to end. Trust me, with the things we talked about in this video, I haven't even scratched the surface of what's happening in this game. From shady characters in Rogueport, weird computers in love with Peach, and Bowser platforming segments. This game was more than a Mario title and couldn't contain the charm, charisma, and world building it offered. The game even has a character in it that's playing Paper Mario the 1,000-Year Door, and then he says he hopes it gets a sequel, like a real sequel. And my reaction to that? Yeah, me too, kid. Were there things I didn't like about the game? Let me think. In the remake, I didn't like the new music, at all. So when I found the nostalgia badge, I immediately put that on to get the banger music back. And the segments between towns and dungeons are way too linear. And they only offer a couple enemy encounters, so those aren't exciting. And the secret party member, Miss Mouse, is completely useless. There's no reason to unlock her. And when I did, the enemies stopped spawning badges I wanted to steal. And I guess I'm still not really on board with the whole paper theme. I know, but hear me out on this one. In the first Paper Mario, the paper theme was more of an art style than the actual world they reside in. Like, there wasn't any storybooks tearing pages, things going 2D to turn around, or 3D objects being paper mache projects. Which I thought the first game had a great balance of the paper characters and 3D objects. I don't know, I might be in the wrong on this one. It's not like there are staplers and scissors like in the later entries. But man, I like the cleaner look the world had, not trying to make everything paper like the dragon. I've never liked the look of the 3D dragons. But all of those things get overshadowed by the greatness of this game. Like, shout out to that stupid curse box guy, who was always good for a laugh when he tried to make your new abilities seem like they were bad. And the combat's always been good, but adding things like style to your moves for extra star power really spiced things up. And the super counter is such a fun gamble, insanely satisfying to pull off. And I love how Bowser shows up at the worst possible times. Like when he randomly showed up at the Glitz Pit, didn't see that coming. And at the end of the game. Speaking of the end of the game, I knew the main baddie was using people and had his own agenda, but I never expected to get played by one of his goons the whole time. Talk about a crazy twist. And the end fight was cool, and I like how the last boss upstaged Bowser like the whole time. And don't forget the bonus game over scene you get from being a smartass. Bet you didn't think your choices mattered in this game, did ya? Priceless. Like I said, this game is truly an adventure, but I think it was overlooked by a lot of people in the day due to many circumstances. Nintendo had formulas for how their games were made, and the GameCube wasn't very popular. And the advances in technology had other genres in the limelight, and now that everything has calmed down in the gaming industry, pretty much to the point of stagnation, but we can talk about that later. In the rise of Let's Plays, people have seen this gem and finally can play it. I hope you guys played this game, and help send a message that we want more games like this. I would love a return to the classic formula, and playing this game has me once again wishing for more. Maybe the cursed guy got what he wanted after all. We were cursed to have the best Paper Mario game ever. And after playing it, we only wanted more, but now we're stuck with the new version of Paper Mario. Maybe it's best you avoid this game. I wouldn't want you to suffer from this curse too. Anyway, thanks for stopping by. I'd love to hear your thoughts.